What's up, you guys? James Strickland here. Welcome to week 68 on my road to 700 pounds on bench press. Very, very excited to show you guys my training recap this week. We are really starting to have some breakout workouts and very much excited to bring this to you guys. Thank you for following me along on this journey to 700 pounds on bench. Definitely exciting. If you're new to the channel, definitely welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe bell, and I will bring you guys my training recaps on a weekly basis, wrapped in a nice little bow with kind of my thoughts, processes, why I choose certain things, how I'm feeling, just to kind of give you guys kind of a backstage pass into the day, the training days and the normal days of a elite level powerlifter that's trying to break 700 pounds on bench press. As many of you know, this is a feat that not many have accomplished. There is 5 people on the planet that have done this, and it is definitely something I would love to do. Not going to stop until I am happy with my results. But for those who have followed me along on this journey, welcome back. I told you guys this week we're going to be hitting pretty close to 600 pounds. We got about 585 or so this week, and I won't won't tell you too much until we go into the recap, but definitely feeling really, really good. We've got one more week until the deload. So we've got this week that I'll show you. Next week will be week 69, and we'll go into a deload. And I think after that, we're going to be ready to start thinking about a meet in the time frame for a meet. So we'll see how the next couple training days go. But before I jump in to any of the further sections, I'll go ahead and show you guys the recap for this week. Day 1. So I'm going to be at Legacy Barbell in Spring, Texas, just right down the road from Dub's Barbell Club. Gonna have my last couple of warm-ups here, what I would call warm-ups. This is technically my last single with 495. Very, very solid. Just definitely feeling good. And actually, sorry, that was 405. This is 495. My last single warm-up. Definitely feeling fast. On the agenda today, our top heaviest set anyways, is going to be a single with 585, like I told you guys. Definitely excited to get back into the higher 500s. My bench day this week fell on a Tuesday. Trying to hold true as much as I can to an 8-day split. It's definitely helping me, but it's not going to help me as much now as it will when we start getting super, super heavy, definitely in the 600s and mid 600s, that I think that this regimen will help me a little bit more. Right now, we're just kind of playing with the schedule a little bit to see if we can work it in and kind of get into a routine. Sometimes it will be a 7-day split due to schedule, and sometimes an 8-day split. Let's see how this 585 looks. Just solid. I could have probably repped out at least a few more reps of that without being too taxing. But that is not the main set for today. We have got a top set, if you will, of 540. The set called for 5. I'll show you guys why I only got 4 here in a second. Definitely feeling good. Nothing is off. Staying in the groove. Warm-ups feel great. Calorie, meals, recovery, everything is on point, which is exactly the way we want it. Really, really feel like I'm back, if you will. If you guys have been following me for a little bit, you know that after Boss of Bosses, we tried to ramp up for another bench-only cycle and kind of hit a little bit of a wall. I think it was just, I know it was just fatigue, just built up, and some residual, not only from the previous bench-only cycle, but going straight into a full power cycle and doing very, very well, almost totaling 2,200 raw in sleeves. So we had to kind of back things down, build a little bit more of a base, and here we are, definitely in our strength phase. I'm very, very excited to show you guys. Saw the lift off here from Justin Dubs. Did not expect the weight to move as easy as it is. It's definitely pumping it out. I'm starting to slip a little bit on the bench, and on this rep here, I actually slipped. You can sort of see it. It's hard to tell, but I'm grabbing my my left side, cramping on the left side, but I slipped on the right side. My shoulder was slipping off the bench. I'm trying my best here to have a non-slip surface, but I think it's just getting used to heavier reps, and definitely you want to stay tight. So losing a little bit of tightness there when I slipped, but I'm not going to take a chance on taking a 5th rep, so went ahead and shut it down for the day. My dips are definitely looking a lot better. Went ahead and ramped these up this week. We've got about 190 pounds here worth of weight, plus my body weight being about 295. So these are feeling very, very good. Anything that's close to 200 or definitely over 200 on dips very much makes me lightheaded. So the first rep typically is very, I'd say definitely a little scary, just because I typically lose a blackout just a little bit, like right here, and then I gain consciousness, if you will, and go ahead and crank out the set. The cool thing is some of these are actually so heavy on the body that I basically don't feel anything. So as long as I'm staying, alert and in touch with where I'm at in the dip, I can actually kind of go on almost on autopilot and still work the muscles. But it's a really kind of a strange setup, because all of that weight pulling on your midsection cuts off a little bit of blood supply, and that's definitely something that can keep you a little lightheaded. But as long as I am staying safe and staying injury free is the name of the game here. But just something I want to share with you guys about dips, as they can definitely get up there in weight, especially with my own body weight. I'm pumping out almost 300 pounds body weight, plus the weight that I've got hanging. So but I do like dips a lot. They definitely help. I think as long as I can do them without any shoulder pain or elbow pain, which has been the issue the last maybe the last couple months, I just need to let those heal up, and here we are. Definitely by backing off on the weight, definitely feel like that helped some of the tendonitis heal up a little bit, and we can kind of get back in the groove here. But I've got a few sets here. I went ahead and did all of them at the same weight. Feel like we could definitely move well over 200 in the next few weeks, as long as everything stays healthy. And what I mean by healthy is definitely I don't want any tendonitis creeping in to the elbows or the shoulders, rotators. I want those to stay healthy. And that's just with bench press, obviously. There's other things to look at other than just those for other lifts. But the shoulders, the rotators, elbows are definitely, pecs are definitely things that you want to keep healthy during a bench cycle. You do not want to play with those. Once they start messing up on you and start hurting, you pretty much have to back off to make them feel better. So here's something interesting. They didn't have a lot of heavy chains, regular chains, if you will, at this gym. So I went ahead and tried some tugboat chains that they had sitting in the corner that they use for dragging down the sidewalk and things like that. They're a couple 100 pounds each when they're totally off the floor. I got them measured here at about 110 pounds or so each, which is nice. I tacked on a couple of the normal chains there just to give myself the weight that I wanted on these, but I really feel like these were great to use for chain flies. It's kind of cool that I can say that my chain work involves tugboat chain. Didn't think I'd ever be doing that. And I definitely think that my pecs are kind of the weaker link in things, but not so much anymore. Showing you guys the measurement there. I actually broke this scale later on. You can probably see that here. And definitely interesting day. But overall, feeling very, 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 very healthy. One thing that I wanted to mention to you guys, here's where I'm showing you guys me going and measuring the chain. It actually, for a split second, I saw it, but I'm in the kind of the way of the camera. I didn't have time to get it out of the way. Broke it. The limit on this is 110 pounds. So I think I've exceeded it quite a bit, but I did see it spin around twice, and that's where I kind of got the average weight of the chain there, and I only had about half off the ground when I measured it. So good estimates, those are about 210 to 220 pounds each, which is a hefty chain. But during this set here, this is my dumbbell chest supported incline rows. I was definitely thinking that I want to tell you guys that this workout, I had hit a second wind about this point. Definitely when it hit those tugboat chain flies, it just put me into another level. Now, obviously, I'm trying to stay smart. Want to not get too crazy with weights or anything like that. But definitely, about 4 weeks ago, I could not say that during my bench workout that I felt like I had a second wind. So I'm definitely getting some steam. I'm getting fatigued, obviously, but I'm getting excited about my training. So things are just really clicking. So it's just literally a matter of just staying smart, staying in the groove, metaphorically speaking, staying in my lane and not getting caught up with, where everybody else is or what everybody else expects you to do in training. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of tell you guys about that, because it's very easy in today's world to, with the YouTube videos that are out, with the Instagram videos that are out, there's a lot of strong cats out there right now that are coming out of the woodwork. And it's easy to see other people doing really, really big lifts and wanting to do those right now. I'm guilty of it as well. I know I've been in this game a little bit longer than some of you guys, so I don't quite, I don't fall to the temptation of trying to follow other people. I stay in my own lane, and that's why I've been so successful at what I'm doing. But what I wanted to convey to you guys is that, if you stay smart and stay true to your own training, you will be better after your training is all said and done. And you will eventually, if you can stay injury free, will be a lot further along if you stay true to your program and not somebody else's program. Everybody's at a different spot in their training. Just because somebody else is benching 405 right now, and you're going to bench probably 405 at the end of your training cycle, do not shortcut it and try to do it now just to prove a point or an ego lift. So here we go on my day 2, a couple warm-ups here, and the goal for today I've got on the agenda is 640 for 2. This is fairly light. It's still about 50 pounds less than my PR for 2, but haven't felt a lot of heavy weight on my back lately, so we're kind of ramping these up slowly. But the goal at the animal cage is a 700 pound for reps on squat. This definitely feels good. Went ahead, buried these. Definitely want to hold true to the Massonomics breaking parallel shirt that I'm wearing. Definitely breaking parallel here. And I felt like I could have probably got a couple more reps of that. Feeling very, very solid on squats. So what I'm going to do here is actually go and do a walkout and a hold here for my next set, and that is going to be with 700 pounds. And this is just so that I can feel the weight, which didn't have a problem with at all. In fact, I had to keep myself from wanting to squat it. It's not on the program this week, so I didn't want to shortcut anything, but I definitely could have squatted this and possibly even doubled it today. So I feel very confident about squats moving forward. I'm going to move these up and ramp these up in time, and I think we'll be at a solid spot come the animal cage to do a full power AMRAP. Some deadlifts here today, just kind of going through the warm-up motions. Going to be alternating my squats and deadlifts going forward, so that I can definitely hit my warm-up sets up to my top singles on squats and as well as deadlifts, depending on which week, and then go ahead and do the full deadlift set or the full squat set, depending on what the week holds. I'm going to do my seal rows today. I can normally do these on my day 3, but I wanted to save some time, and I'm going to hit back anyways on day 3. These also felt very, very good. This was going up to a top heavy set. Last one was 405. One before that was 365 or 385, and the one before that was 365 for 5. And I went ahead and strapped up here. Got a little ammonia just to amp me up. This is going to be a PR for me. This is 455 for 3. My best before this was 425. So this is a 30-pound PR just in my back row accessory. So feeling very, very strong in the back. All the extra back work that we've been doing lately is definitely paying off. This will transfer to a much bigger bench at the end of this training cycle. Very, very excited about it. Here's another delta exercise. This is my day 3. My delta exercises have just been ramped up tremendously. This is 345 pounds, believe it or not. This is the heaviest I've ever been with a set of 15. I've never gone for like a super heavy rep, 1 rep set or anything like that. There's no point. But coach had on the program to go as heavy as possible. So I used the 345 as a warm up, I guess, and then kind of rigged up a band to give me about 20 pounds of tension. And go ahead and chalk this up at about 365. So I think this is probably going to be the max that I can do on these. So I can definitely hit those and then hit a superset of some dumbbell flies, your reverse delt flies. Moving on, some close grip tricep work here on the decline. This is definitely some pressing as well. 10 reps here with 325. A couple sets here. Some Meadows rows, another back exercise. It's 225 here, not super heavy. But yesterday I hit the seal rows or the incline rows with that 455. So I'm a little bit taxed still, but this is just to go ahead and seal the deal and make that back really work this week. T3 raises here, 15 pounds. We've upped the weight just a little bit here. The shoulders are definitely stronger than ever. I probably could do, if I had to right now, of course I wouldn't advise doing something that I haven't been doing lately, and I won't be doing these anytime soon, but I think I could overhead press 405 plus for some reps, probably pretty strict. So I'm definitely happy with how the shoulders are. They're definitely, the size is perfect for the weight that I'm going to need to be pressing. That's why you don't see me do a lot of extra shoulder work, is because the shoulders are already there. It's catching up the pecs, catching up the back, keeping the triceps healthy, a little bit of bicep work here and there. But it's really, all the accessory work is either due to a weakness or due to something I'm definitely trying to get stronger. So they basically go hand in hand. But I definitely know that my triceps need to be super strong. So they're not a weakness, but I am a close grip bencher. And so I definitely want those triceps to stay where they're at. 245 for 12 sets of 6 there on those tricep push downs. I saved you guys the extra video this week so you could watch some of the back stuff. I definitely wanted to focus on some of the lat pull downs, just to make sure that you guys know that it's not just all about tricep work. This is the full stack here for a few sets of 8. And to end out the day 3 and end out the week, I've got 20-pound each hand cable pulls. These are basically Y raises. Very, very good to keep those rotators healthy. But did not hit any kind of wall this week on any accessory. Definitely just excited that everything is feeling super top notch. It's times like this where, I sometimes want to make sure that everything is feeling good, and I'm not getting too excited, and kind of keep, modest approach to my training, because I think a lot of guys, and I've done it in the past myself, not very much because I learned from it, but basically you get excited about your training. Let's say you want to add 50 pounds to one of the lifts because you feel like you got it that particular day. The problem with that is your body is not a machine. And so you never know, let's say, for example, on my bench day this week, the 585, obviously it flew up, had, probably a few more reps in the tank. It's safe to say that I could probably lay under 630, maybe 650 right now and crank out a rep. And that would make me feel good for the day. But what am I going to do next week? Am I going to go 660? What happens if 650 is a struggle? I'm basically ego lifting if I do that. And that's what I try to urge a lot of you guys to not do in your training, is to know when is the time to test your strength and when is the time to build it. And I think a lot of guys, I know a lot of guys, a lot of lifters mix that up, and they get excited in their training and they don't know how to curb that excitement. They don't know how to deal with it. You have to be patient, and that is the key. And if you can stay patient and smart, you will have much more than 50 pounds to add by the time your training cycle is over. Obviously, you guys know I'm going for 700 pounds. So what's the point of me trying to do a 650 pound bench when I'm not primed for it right now, when I will be able to hit it in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the program has on tap? I probably will end up doubling it, and then we'll go 675, 700. And that's something I want to be proud of, not doing a 650 the shortcut way. Now, addressing this whole ego lifting issue, a lot of guys are afraid that when they're lifting, if they're not always as strong as their max, that they're actually weaker. Well, I probably would not be able to bench 672 right now if I wanted to. If I struggled and I actually got it, what am I going to earn from that? A pat on the back from who? Like, everybody, knows that I've already done that in a competition. And so if you have done let's say a 315 bench or a 225 bench, what's the point in constantly hitting that same number if you're never going to get much better than that? What's 5 pounds? So if you're smart in your approach and you're actually pyramiding up and progressively overloading, or doing your program the right way and actually doing something that is helping you, then that 5 pound increase is going to be what you're doing for reps if you're doing it right. And you're going to have a 20, 50, 100 pound increase over time. But I think what people get caught up on is if they're not able to do what their max is today, right now, or any given day, that they're somehow weaker than what they were. And that's just not how strength works. So, just keep that in mind. I won't dive into that too much, but that is definitely something, especially if you're new to the channel, you've probably never heard me say before because you don't know me. But that is something that I urge in people's training, regardless of how you're training or what you're doing. There's no reason to sit there and try to chip away at your max all the time. You definitely want to lay back and not relax, but you definitely want to build a base and kind of go from there. But I do have a question and answer segment this week. So I want to share with you guys a couple of questions that were submitted via different social media platforms. This week, I've got one from Instagram and one from YouTube. And definitely after I go through these, feel free to leave a comment down below in questions that you might have. You can shoot me an email, which I'll give you here in just a little bit. And you can shoot me DMs through Instagram and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and jump on in to this week's questions, and we'll wrap up the video shortly after that. So this first question is from Jeff Owen, and it's on Instagram. And he asks, how do you evaluate if an accessory carries over to a lift? Very, very good question, Jeff. So here's how you evaluate if an accessory carries over. In my training, and I'll use that specifically, I know what my weaknesses are because I've seen my previous lifts either in competition or in training, and I know where my sticking points are. I know what I'm lacking, and it basically, in the event of, let's say, squat, if you're coming out of the hole, which means you're coming out of the bottom of the squat, and that's where you typically get loose, or you lose the lift, or you start to lean forward. There's certain cues that you'll see, and I urge you to video your lifts so that you can actually see where you're breaking down in the lift, because sometimes where you feel you're breaking down is not accurate. It's actually a little bit below typically where you feel it. Because you have a little bit of momentum in the lift. So like, for example, squat, you're coming out of the hole and you lose the bar a little bit. You probably need to work on some dead squats, where it's basically you're setting up the bar and you're getting up underneath it and you're pressing it from almost like a dead lift or a dead bench. You definitely want to work on your glutes, hamstrings, and quads. All those obviously play a huge role in your squat. But same thing with bench. You know, if you're, let's say, losing it at your chest and you can't get it off your chest, you definitely probably don't want to focus on triceps, because the triceps help you lock the weight out. So you'd want to work on the bottom, the muscles that work the bottom of the bench, your back, your delts, your pecs, and work those accessories that will benefit those particular weaknesses that you have in that lift. Same thing as deadlifts. You know, let's say on deadlifts you have trouble locking the weight out. You can definitely do rack pulls. A lot of guys like to do rack pulls just because it's cool to lift a lot of weight. But if you're working on really humping the bar, humping your hips through, squeezing your glutes, obviously those are things that you would want to focus on if you had trouble locking out the deadlift. You know, your glutes and rack pulls. There's just a couple things to start. I'm not going to go over all the accessories that would cover each weakness of a lift, because we'd be here literally for a year. But the way you evaluate if an accessory is carrying over to a lift is seeing where you're weak and actually doing those accessories, then seeing if it's helping you at the point of the lift where you were previously weak. That's how you know if it's carrying over. It's probably going to take some time, so you want to be patient, and sometimes it's trial and error, and a lot of the times it's trial and error. If you have a coach, obviously you have a little bit of an advantage. Somebody's watching your videos and critiquing you and seeing your form and seeing where you're breaking down and is able to prescribe certain accessories for that particular lift for you. If you're doing it on your own, then you want to ask questions. Send videos to people. I have people send me videos all the time, and they ask me questions, you know, about their lift, and I give them a little bit of, you know, tips here and there. And just ask questions to anybody you can, and start kind of developing your own accessory work, because not all accessories are going to help every single person. Weighted dips may be really good for me, but horrible for you, because either you can't do them with weight and you can't just do body weight, or you can't do a body weight dip, or your shoulders are messing up on you and you have rotator problems or elbow problems, and so you don't want to do weighted dips. You know, just like if you have issues with your back, you know, there may be certain exercises you don't want to do because it's going to exacerbate a problem that you're having in your back. But you could definitely do some other accessories, you know, belt squats and some things like that. But don't just do an accessory because you think it looks cool. Definitely do the accessory work that is necessary to help that particular lift. That's literally a whole video in itself. But definitely, you know, reach out to me. I'd be glad to help you out, to see, you know, what accessories you could try, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, I would say, before you start analyzing if it's working or not. Because sometimes it's going to take some time to get used to the accessory and then see if your body is actually responding to it and if it's carrying over. So that just doesn't happen in a week's time. But hope that answered your question, Jeff. I really do appreciate it. Next one is right here on YouTube. It's Foolhardy Germ 9. Some of these names are really, really fun. I'd like to see, you guys to tell me how you got your names. You know, if you go back a few videos, you'll see how I got my name, Swimhack. Anyway, so Foolhardy Germ 9 is asking, how do you maintain back tightness if you don't have a spotter? Very, very good question, because I'm sure a lot of you guys who've tuned in for a while have seen me doing my own, and this is specific to bench. If you've seen me doing my bench press videos a lot where I don't have a spotter, you probably wonder how I'm able to maintain tightness and lift off for myself and things like that. Basically, the easiest way is practice. Obviously, you don't want to go in there and do a max by yourself ever. You know, you never want to max out by yourself. Let's just leave it at that. But if you're going to be working out by yourself for a heavy single, I definitely would advise you to be in a safety squat rack for bench, especially. That's what we're talking about here. And so get in a safety squat rack where you can set the pins up to where the bar will not collapse your chest too far, and it definitely won't land on your neck. Don't let it hurt you. You know, so if you've ever seen me bail on a bar, which is a few times, you definitely see that I can basically get out from underneath the bar, and without the help of anybody else, and because it's on the safety rack. But as far as maintaining tightness, the easiest thing to do is to set up closer. So set up higher on the bench, to where your head maybe even has to hang off the top of the bench in order to get up high enough. But you've got to be careful because you don't want to be so high that when you press the bar at full lockout, you're running into the pins. See me do that quite a bit if you've tuned in for a while. And it's just kind of something that, you know, new benches or in a new gym or something you're not familiar with, it's something that may happen. But if you can find that sweet spot where you're able to lift off and pretty much go straight into the lift, that's where you want to set up. And that's how you maintain that back tightness, is not having to pull the bar out laterally, you know, basically having it overhead, scroll crush it to get into position. You want to basically be able to lift off and almost move an inch and go straight down. Now, when you have a spotter, you want to set up a little lower. That way you can kind of have room. And that's where the spotter helps guide the bar out to you a little bit and helps you out. And then that lateral motion doesn't pull you out of position. But that's probably the easiest way to maintain back tightness when you don't have a spotter. There are some little things here and there, but I don't want to go too deep into those and make you guys overthink it. But set up the same way as you would if you have a spotter. You definitely want to retract your scapula, dig down into the bench, and really get a solid hold on it. And then wherever your arms are at full lockout, that's where the bar needs to basically come out from the spotter. Now, if you're setting up by yourself, just scoot up a little bit, and the bar is going to have to move laterally only about an inch or so, and that should set you in a prime position. But if you can get a spotter, if you can get lift off, do it. Now, I guess we're going to interchange the spotter and lift off here because they're not necessarily the same thing. Spotter you can definitely have without a solid lift off. I've had people spot me before and not lift off for me. I've had side lift offs, which I don't advise at all, so don't do that. But a side spotter is a lot safer. Two side spotters is a lot safer than a back spotter. But so don't confuse the interchanging spotter with lift off. Basically, the question, I'll reword it and I'll say, how do you maintain back tightness if you don't have a lift off? And we'll just leave it at that. But I appreciate you guys submitting those questions. Like I said before, if you have a question you'd like for me to answer, leave it in the comments. Shoot me an email, swimhack@gmail.com. Shoot me a DM, leave a comment on Instagram on any of my posts. It's always fair game for the Q&A segment here. Sometimes I've started a new segment where I'll go into some of my favorites, and that's kind of fun. This week I'll keep the video a little shorter and not go into any of those. But last week I covered like my favorite music. So if you guys are interested in that, you can go back and watch the 67 recap. But that is going to be it for this week's weekly recap, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. I do want to announce that I do have several new programs that I've launched on my website, benchonly.com. I've got the 8, 16, and 24-week bench programs all available in the 2.0, and as well as the 8-week peaking bench program in the 2.0, and my 24-week full power 2.0. And basically what differentiates my 1.0 to the 2.0 is just a different set of accessories. So if you guys have run the 1.0 and you want something different and you like how the progress that you got from the 1.0s, you can definitely do the 2.0 and you're going to have similar progress but different accessories. And you can run one before the other. You don't have to run the 1.0 first, the 2.0. Actually, what I'm going to be doing is probably revamping the programs from time to time to give you guys a fresh look at some stuff, so that way you're not having to run the same program over and over and over again if you don't want to. But definitely check those out on benchonly.com. I've got some specials going on just to kind of launch for the new year. Definitely appreciate you guys, sticking around with me and, enjoying the journey in 2020. I dropped it earlier, but I'll go ahead and drop it now. If you guys are on Instagram, you can definitely find me over there at SwimHack. Give me a follow. We post a lot of interesting things, food, different things, daily life, maybe some behind the scenes footage that you won't see maybe over here on YouTube. So definitely give me a follow over there. Always available for chat. If you guys have DMs, pretty much answer every single DM unless it's something weird. If you guys have questions or you want to reach out to me, definitely welcome that. It's probably faster than email. But that is just about it. If you like this video, definitely like it by giving me a little thumbs up. And if you like the channel, like the video, please subscribe, help me grow the channel, share it with your friends. And I will see you guys next week. Next week is going to be week 69. We're going to be over 600 pounds, so definitely excited about that. This recap is actually shot the night before we have 600 pounds, so I better be getting to bed here pretty soon. But definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next week. See ya.